Hey, everybody, it's Monday, it's February, and we are talking lead follow up. We have like a small crew today, huh, Cody?
We sure do.
Nothing
Very
wrong with that. That's always good. I do apologize if you're watching the recording because you didn't get the email. I didn't hit send. Cody had mentioned earlier that he didn't get the email, and I was like, what? And I went over, and sure enough, I hadn't hit the send button. So my apologies on that. But you can always come back and watch the recording, which is probably what you're doing now. So we're going to talk about some lead follow up today. We were chatting earlier, the three of us, um, just about like unique ways, not necessarily of following up, but unique in how your lead generation is. And I guess, Cody, would you say it was like it's not really a one size fits all when it comes to how you follow up with leads?
absolutely.
And then we'll let you get into some lead follow up stuff.
Cool. Yeah, not a one size fits all, and there's definitely some different trains of thought depending on where you look. So, obviously, this is my opinion taken from some other people and mashed together. Um, but from seeing what doesn't work to what does work, that's what I'll be sharing. Going through, my style of lead generation and how I've built my database, and then how we followed up in the past compared to what we're doing now, and how it's increased the volume of responses and website traffic, and what's valuable to get website traffic versus what does nothing and is a complete waste of time.
Yeah, and
So
you have a pretty big business, don't you? I mean, you're right on the verge of icon. You have been. You'll probably hit it this year. So I mean,
yeah,
what you're doing is working from the standpoint of your lead generation and specific to this call today, your follow up.
yeah, I mean, I think my take on the lead follow up has been automation. And I don't even do a tremendous amount of automation. I just learned about Zapier, for example, and just recently implemented that to tie the tools together. But it's been very much so, how can I plug and play and do as little work as possible in the back end so that I can give my time to my clients or actually have some abundant freedom, which is what we all seek, I think, in this industry. And so that's helped me have, I mean, it's required a lot less focused time during the day to be able to run the business compared to your average agent out there that's doing everything by hand. My CRM tracks thousands of texts and thousands of emails every single month that are going to specific people based on specific needs that I never typed, and then it tracks their responses. So that's kind of where my goal has been, are moving them around once they take certain actions, sending them specific content based on a action. What did they look at a house 3 times? Did they return to the website after 3 months of inactivity? Did they request a home valuation after 3 months of inactivity? So very simple things in the grand scheme of what the tools can do, but enough to where you can go on vacation and your business is working for you. If you have self-service, you can run a full business a week away from, 10 minutes a day on your phone, right?
Yeah,
For your morning coffee.
is a lot of it, and I've seen this with other systems getting things set up. Most of it's probably on the front end, like it's front loaded with a lot of work to get it everything set up and trial and error and what emails going out, what's not, where's it going, misspellings, all of those
Yeah,
things to work out. Would you agree with that? And like,
I would.
you overcome that kind of stuff to have the system that you have now that allows you to, like you said, go on vacation or go to your brother's bachelor party in New
Yeah,
Orleans last weekend?
exactly. Yeah, I mean, we had 9 showings set up while I was out of town, and everything happened seamlessly.
Well, and I remember seeing, and that makes sense on seeing some of your workplace posts and like, oh, hey, can somebody show, some property this weekend? Like, I'm out of town.
Yeah,
Like, that's as a result of some automated follow up,
yeah.
which
All those people were people I have not met before, and based on my email campaigns and blog posts that were sent out through my CRM automatically, got responses and elicited showings. So
where
that
do they
was,
come from? Where do those people come from? I know we're talking follow up, but let's like, where, like,
yeah. I mean, cold call lead, EXP workplace referral, and an open house lead from 3 or 4 years ago.
okay, so these were like actual like leads. They weren't somebody who filled out a form, which are
Mhm.
leads, but what's cool is that you took some real humans and you popped them into your automation framework which kept the relationship going and was doing stuff like you said while you were asleep, while you're out of town,
Oh,
and
yeah. And
showing
the
you some
important part is all of those people had ghosted me for a few months. So we went from regular contact to no contact, at least on two of them. And it wasn't until I sent out a blog post about the market and interest rates and what's to expect upcoming that they responded to that with properties that I had sent them to go see.
yeah.
Yeah, and I could directly tie it to the blog. They saw that they opened the blog. 10 minutes later, they emailed me or texted me.
Yeah, and this was in the
That's
there was a
all
link for the
automated.
blog in the email.
I send out a blog through the CRM once
But
a
I mean, it's
week.
in an email, comes in the form of an email. Somebody opens an
Correct.
email and they're like, oh, and then there's a blog post, and
Hmm.
your CRM tracks, oh, wow, they clicked on it. And the next thing you know, there was a showing set up. So
Hmm.
I think
Yeah,
the tracking with that, and we were talking about the stuff earlier on being able to track and see what's going on, is super important.
right. Yeah. So, I mean, again, the lead follow up depends on the people, but it's really not that different when you consider all buyers and sellers generally have the same needs and same questions. So, whether they're a year out, most people have the same questions a year out. Most people have the same questions 3 months out. Or if they're information gathering and they don't have a time frame, there's a few questions that you can ask people that elicit a response. And if you word it properly, it comes from you, and you don't just have a templated email that you found on Google. If you edit it to sound like yourself, there's a good chance that you'll get a response because you've been frequent in your communication and persistent with it. And if you're the one showing up in their inbox, text, phone calls, emails, you're on their social media, all those things, that you're going to become their go-to person.
Yeah. You brought up a big topic, which is it's so important on um, buyers and sellers for the most part have the same needs. They're asking the same questions.
Mm-hmm.
So what if we as real estate agents get better at giving that information, answers to all of those questions out ahead of time and for free,
Mm-hmm.
free-ish in exchange for an email address?
Right. Yeah,
It's massive.
absolutely. The funnel, right? And I don't have the funnel set up as I should. Once that's
It's the
going, it's
idea.
mapped
It's
out.
the thought process
Yeah.
on that. Like, okay, now let's make sense on how we answer these questions ahead. We provide that value. We go that extra mile, or
Yeah,
then we establish that trust. Plus, it gives us content along the way to share.
it
You
does.
know,
It's
so
just there was a good example I saw today. I don't know if it was on Facebook or Workplace about conversion rates and follow up. And it made me realize that the last step of the follow up process is pre qualifying your appointment. And that's
mhm.
something I've never considered as a follow up. I've considered it as preparation for an appointment. And I think it was I think something we can get into, but like the pre-qualifying the listing appointment. The person talking on the post, talking about where they needed help. Uh, so they said 18 appointments in 1 month and only signed three of them. And we got three clients out of 18 listing appointments. So clearly there's a deficiency somewhere that can be traced to the appointment. And so it brought me to think, okay, in my calls following up with people, there's lots of questions I ask, there's lots of questions they ask, but there's specific questions in that follow up to get ready for that appointment. And that's pre-qualifying the appointment, which gets rid of all the potential objections ahead of time and knows it helps you to know where to lead that, the question process, right? I'm going to ask specific questions that I already know the answers to based on my pre-qualifying the appointment script. And I can lead every single listing appointment that I've ever not signed, which is four in my entire time going on listing appointments, is I did not use that piece of paper in my follow-up process to pre-qualify the seller. And had I used it, I either would not have gone or I would have come prepared differently. So it's like it's math, right? It's simple math, but it's just knowing the process and how it all adds up to help you or hinder you.
100%. Yep.
So,
Yeah.
uh,
So think about what some of those questions are.
right.
And I just did, since I know last week we were talking about AI a lot, I just typed what into ChatGPT, what are the top 10 questions that homebuyers ask? And what it came up with was one, what is the total cost of the property, including all fees and closing costs, whatever? What's the crime rate in the area? That stirs up some ideas, right? Is the property in a flood zone or prone to natural disasters? How old is the roof? When was it last replaced? Okay, so this is specific to a house.
Hmm.
If I were to take this, I don't want to get too far off topic, but tying last week into this week, like there, answer those questions ahead of time, create an ebook, write, do videos, short
Hmm.
videos about it. Like answer these questions ahead of time. Since as soon as you said that, Cody, I was like, cha-ching.
Right. We're
That's
in the
it.
age of information,
What's
right?
that?
We're in the age of information, and consumers have Zillow, right? They have blogs, they just Google whatever they want to know to get it from somewhere else. But if you're what they call the knowledge broker and you're providing all that information to them and their email at their fingertips and their phone or their computer, wherever they're searching and all the places that they're searching, then why would they go somewhere else to get that information when you've already answered their questions, which we know are likely going to be the same questions as everyone else?
Yeah. And all those answers are out there. They can find it anywhere. So
Yeah.
why shouldn't they get it from you? And I think most agents aren't doing what we're talking about.
They're not presenting it at all. But
No, because
when you make it your own, you're presenting it as yourself and you're building a relationship. Whether
mhm.
you know it or not, you're building the relationship. For me, for a long time, my follow up was effectively weak because I got responses from it. I got appointments and I got closings, but it was weak because they never saw my face. It took me years to realize none of my emails, my texts, nothing included my face or my voice. It included raw text, and those are the first emails I delete. They worked, but how much better could they work if you added some personality into it?
Yeah. And that's again in the follow-up piece. And this is something everybody should absolutely 100% get on, especially when it comes to, I mean, and this stretches from internet leads, super, super cold, all the way up to hot. Well, not
Mhm.
so much hot, because these are people who already know you. They
Yeah.
know a lot of your story, but is building what's called the attractive character. And it's,
Mhm.
if you, there's a series of emails. If you do 4 to 6, about 6 emails, and you're telling your story each part of the way. So for like a buyer or a seller real estate, you would want to tell your story on what it was like when you bought a home or
Mhm.
when you sold a home and the things that you went through. And so there's the attractive character. And I think that first sequence called like, if you look in the .com secrets book, I think it's called the like either Seinfeld email sequence or the soap opera. That's what it's called. Because you know,
Mhm.
like a soap opera leads you waiting till the next, you like watch the end, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, or a good like show, a Netflix show, or it ends and you're like cliffhanger kind of thing. That's what these emails do, and that increases the open rate. So I'm glad you brought this up. Lots of different topics when it comes to follow up. Making it easier is one, more efficient to save more time. And also, you just mentioned not too long ago here was the value piece. And that's
Right.
where people getting to know you is going to increase those conversions up through the roof. So I reran the search. What are the top 10 questions that homebuyers ask about buying a home in today's market?
Okay.
What is the current market condition and how does it affect the home buying process?
Okay.
Answer that question, right? There's a video. What's the average price for homes in the area? You do that every week,
Yeah. Just pull the data.
right? How does the current interest rate impact the cost of a mortgage?
That
Boom.
was my best video ever. Just got 13,000 views on that last week.
Atta boy. Which one was it?
That changes the interest rates and how it affects buying
Dude, there you go. How long does it take?
without notating specific rates because we can't do that.
Right. You don't want to make that, and you don't want to make income claims. We don't need to get. I just had a like an hour call with Jarek and two other people, and the future of, not to get off topic here, but the future of success and where things are going, and just different legal stuff that's getting signed, and um, different people that are getting involved. It's pretty cool. Anyways, um, yeah, answer the questions ahead of time from that value perspective.
Yeah.
I think that's the key to the follow-up, man, and making
It
it
is.
better, like you said, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I switched up my follow-up, in fact, is I took it from, is there anything I can do for you this week? Type follow-up, which is transactional, to relationship based, which is helping, right? Which is my whole goal, is to help people. So, not understanding at the beginning that you can help people just by giving them information they didn't know they needed or wanted. Right? Not everyone might need it or want it, but the general population will, because they're not a licensee, whether you're day one or 10 years in. You know more than them, right? And so taking it from what can I do for you this week to providing value through changes in interest rates, upcoming market conditions, how changing market conditions from last month to this month change for them, you know, the most costly inspection items to take a look at in your upcoming home purchase, how to choose which lender to work with, right? Things that they're thinking of, the next steps of, why is it important to meet with a lender before you meet with a realtor or go see houses? Just some of these questions that they have that you can answer in a question format. You can do it in text based, you can do it in video, you can do it with both and supplement your text with a video on it and post it to social media and link it to your website and your blog, right? You can do all those things that are a lot more exciting than, hey, Jeff, this is Cody Walker with eXp Realty. Just wanted to check in this week and see if there's anything I can do for you.
No,
Nope.
don't
Good.
care.
Have a great week. Talk to you next month.
Nope. Because and if
Right.
you think and breaking that down, that is all about you.
Mm-hmm. And
I
it's me
am
wanting
calling
business.
to find out what I can do to help you. It sounds like
Mm-hmm.
it's about them. It's not. It's all about us when we say that.
Absolutely.
It's all about us. So instead, you're saying, hey, here's some cool stuff, right?
Right.
Here's my,
And then
here's
you
my here's my ebook about how to buy a house in Denver. Top 10 things to avoid when buying a house in Denver.
right. And you think about the average human being and them being too afraid to reach out or ask questions. So by just saying, what do you need? Yeah, you're serving yourself and your own needs to get business. Whereas your intention might have been to help them, but you just don't know how to phrase it
Yeah.
properly, right?
Yep.
However, when you go in providing value on something specific, it gives everyone a chance to prompt a real specific question, right? I have been thinking about talking to a lender, but I just don't know one. And that could be the most simple. I got 10 of them. Which kind of, what are you looking to do? Right? It prompts a conversation and a relationship for you. Whereas just saying, do you need any help? They're going to be so overwhelmed with thoughts or pushed off by your salesy tactics that they're not going to want to respond. There's a lot of people are too afraid to pick up the phone and schedule a haircut or a reservation at dinner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere that's like very, it's safe, right? You're just getting a haircut or getting a reservation for 3 at 7 o'clock, but the general population is too afraid to do that. So you have to consider you're a stranger asking them to spend $500,000 with you, and they've never seen you, they've never heard from you, they don't know who you are. That's terrifying to the average person. But when you start giving out information and without asking for anything in return, and you're just asking, you're just providing value, you become a lot more approachable.
Yeah. I mean, we're in a people business, people they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. That's a Zig
Mhm.
Ziglar quote. It's pertinent. It's real. It's true. No matter how many times you've heard it. And that's really, truly what it is, and following up in a way that's providing more than that follow up you mentioned. What can
Yeah,
I do
just
to help you? It's like,
exactly. It's just this morning I had a call with a guy in Washington, and he's looking to build 2 homes on Microsoft Row on the waterfront. They're going to be $5 to $10 million each. And he has experience elsewhere, but not in Washington, and has a property. It's a great deal, but doesn't know who to bring in to come and make the extra millions, and in the deal. So, talking to him, going through it, this conversation came up of providing more than you ask for in return. There's a mutual friend of one of the attendees in my other mastermind group. It's her mentor, And I went on, I said, he's got 1 million followers online on Instagram alone. And all he spends his time doing is helping other people and teaching them and giving them free information. Do you really think he's that bad of a guy? We can guess just based on what he's chosen to spend probably 8 hours a day doing every day that he has other people's best interests in mind beyond his own, because he could spend all of those hours helping himself, but he chooses to help other people, and that's a good character trait. People resonate with that and it connects people.
Absolutely. Yep. 100%.
So it was like completely sold immediately just based on that one fact. There is like looking at, he pulled up his page and he was like, man, that's a cool guy. It wasn't about the $1 million car he had in some of the pictures, or the big fancy buildings. It was just the personality characteristics that came out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So pretty
Yep.
cool.
Yep. Just show people you care. That's the difference between agents that build really big businesses and agents that either are scraping by, or like you used the word earlier, transactional. We've
Mm-hmm.
all been there. We've all been there, and we know what that is. The three of us specific on here right now, we're in a system where that's what you did. It was
Mm-hmm.
it was transactional based. Now, while there's nothing wrong with that, there's
Yeah,
also
it
the
works.
other side. What'd you say?
It works.
It works. It does. But as soon as you stop it, it doesn't. Right? Where with this and building the relationships with people, with the idea of also adding people to your database and consistently and effectively following up with them. It may be super cold, which is different messaging from a follow-up perspective than
Yeah.
something that's a little warmer. Somebody you met in an open house. That's a different perspective as well. Those are different stories as well. So yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look at so many different types of lead generation, right? Just the easy ones: door knocking, cold calling, Facebook leads, realtor.com leads, versus, anything else. You're going to meet people in a different place. Like all of those people need something different but similar, just because they're in a different part of the process. You look at the conversation with my coach recently of where are they in the funnel when you meet them, right? And if you look at a Facebook lead or a Google pay-per-click lead, they're at the top of the funnel, they're overflowing out the top. But when you look at a Zillow lead, they're a little bit further down because they typed in their information to be connected to a realtor that was prompted on their page. You look at a realtor.com lead, they were not prompted to speak to a realtor, they sought it out. So they went in and willingly typed in their information to get connected to a realtor, right? Or someone that's curious about their home value. They're in a different part. They didn't speak to an agent necessarily, but there might be more value in that lead than someone who just an email and a name and an address in your database, right? There's a need for information that you can specifically provide through a home valuation report. So I'm going to send something different to the Facebook lead to start the relationship than I am with the realtor.com lead, than I am with the open house lead. Because the open house lead, likely they're in the house because they want to buy a house right now, right? So I'm not going to send them a piece of information every month. It's going to be a lot more frequent than that. And that they're going to open houses with different agents in every single house.
Well, and you met them face to face. This wasn't
Right.
somebody who filled out an
That's
email.
true. Yeah, you have a personal
Evaluation.
relationship built. I
Yeah.
agree. Even
Yeah.
a face-to-face connection, which is a lot more valuable than you'd think, right? They just know your face and who's emailing them. They like think of you when they're reading your email. So you have a leg up, but there might be 10 other people doing that. That's the other thing you consider is, right, there's a lot of other agents in your market that are hunting for the same clientele. And if you can provide the most value and do it in a way where they know that your intention is to help them, and that's very vague, but if you're sending out an email to those buyers that say, thanks for stopping by the open house, let me know if there's anything else I can do to help you, versus really appreciated meeting you, send a video follow-up. Hey, it was great to meet you, John and Sally. We had a great time on Saturday, a lot of turnout at the open house. So many neighbors came by and other people like you. We know of another property that's similar to that house that's coming on the market in the next week. And I'd love to have you be the first person in that house so that you can see it, have the best opportunity to get it. If you're interested in seeing that property next week or before it goes on the market, send me an email so that I can, set that up for you and get you in the house, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
simple.
yeah, yep,
You're providing access, which is valuable because they
yeah,
know that if there was 10 other people in the open house while they were there, they're competing. But if they get first look, they can have a better shot.
yeah, yeah. There were two things in there. One is, like you said right there at the end, giving them a better shot, providing more value than any other agent out there. Because the second thing is what most agents are doing is sending very similar messaging through automation
Mm-hmm.
to different temperature audiences.
Yeah.
And it's not the same. The messaging has to be different between those. Like you said, an open house person, we've already met them face to face. It's a warm, we're now in a warm zone. Their
Yeah.
messaging is different. And because they're also closer to probably buying a home versus somebody who may have seen one of your videos, clicked your link in bio, was like, oh yeah, I'm curious what my house is worth, and clicked that, they're watching the Super Bowl or something, just dicking around.
Yeah.
And that's a different messaging to that person. Obviously, you're not going to say it was great meeting at the open house, but even the hey, what can I do for you? Like, what do you mean? What can I do for you? Like,
It's so generic, it's, um, yeah, it's just you're not providing anything. It's all self-serving.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
so much you can provide. I just went through on Canva, made some, I thought, really great images that provide value at different steps of the way in the buying process that will go in emails now. Some nice, low data size PNGs that will go into the emails. So it's not just text and it draws their eyes to important things that they are now clickable and includes a video, right? So like to take it a step further, realizing that, corporations have figured this out a long time ago, yet realtors are running archaic businesses. We really are. There's like nothing set up in our businesses from unless you build it that sets you up for success, right? Think of when you go on a website to order something, you don't order it, you'll be emailed for 10 years every other day to buy that product. You'll be sent coupon codes out the wazoo for that product and similar products. When you order a product, you're getting a thank you email and then a follow up and then a confirmation of shipping and then a receipt of shipping once it's delivered, right? There's so many different steps that come through that consumers expect now, right? And so that's something I didn't have
mm-hmm,
very
mm-hmm.
well built in before. The follow up was when you set an appointment, sending a confirmation and then sending an email a day or two before with information to prep them for that meeting. And then a couple hours before sending them an email with a link to the Zoom or Google Meet, or letting them know that I'm going to call you at this time and then I call. Right. So there's like different steps in there that are absolutely expected by consumers now, not just with the follow up, it's timing based. Right. So, like an open house lead, you can't wait till 3 days later to contact them because they probably went to 5 open houses and have 5 realtors reaching out to them. But with a cold call lead, how many people are likely cold calling them right now? Your timing might not be so important. However, they're going to forget you exist immediately, right? So you can send them something soon, but it doesn't have to be as frequent because they might not be actively searching. But with
Mm-hmm.
the open house lead, it's speed to lead.
Yep, yep. Different messaging, different audiences. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. That's good stuff, Cody.
And
Yeah,
then
great.
I heard some good stuff from the old sales manager at Chime. He has a lot of lead data. We were taught originally that within 90 seconds is the best time to get a hold of a lead. But now it's like within the first 18 days. So I was testing it with Craigslist leads. I was reaching out 2 weeks after and had a much higher conversion rate on leads than when I immediately called. Saying, "Hey, you reached out on Craigslist a while back. I just keep it generic. A while back about a property that we had for sale. Seemed like there was some interest there. I kept it pretty generic because they're if I didn't, they say which day. I don't remember that. Right? There was a lot of objection. But hey, you reached out on this platform, so name it. Versus my website. They don't know what your website is, Joe Schmo at realestate.com. You reached out on Craigslist about a property. Keep that generic because they probably reached out about 10. And I wanted to follow up to see if there were any other properties that you wanted to see, or if I could send you more photos on some houses that you've seen. That kind of messaging has gotten three, four, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but multiples more responses than when they're on their phone. So that's changed in the last few years.
Yeah,
And that was seen across a platform with thousands of users in all
yeah,
markets.
makes a difference.
Yeah. So speed to lead is important, maybe less so on some internet leads, because so like Zillow and Realtor.com are both saying that 87, Realtor.com specifically said 80% of realtors that purchase their leads never call. Not once.
Crazy. I don't understand. It doesn't make sense if you're spending money on something.
It's
That
nine
just shows you just
in my zip code, it's $960 a month for 6 leads.
ugh. No.
And 87% of people don't call once. So if you look at their service and weigh their options, let's say you're looking at realtor.com leads like I'm looking at right now that are towards the bottom of the funnel, they're expensive, but I know that 87% of my competition are not calling them. So if they give me an option to have exclusive leads for one price, or for $100 more, I can get 40 leads a month. But there's an 87% chance the other realtor's never going to call those leads. Heck yeah, I'm spending $100 more for 4 times the leads.
Absolutely. That's smart. That's big. That's huge
Yeah.
right there.
Because we know that the 80/20 rule is very apparent, or 90/10 in a lot of cases. So if you can take advantage of that and just do something, like
Yeah.
something is better than nothing, right? Like you don't have to be an expert at any of these systems. I started just by apply, apply. When I went in the smart plans tab and added those automation tools, I just added what they already had to have something there, which worked because someone made it that it worked for. It worked to some degree. And then I spent time building out what I wanted while theirs was running. And I
Yeah.
clicked a button. It took no time.
Yeah, but you got to get started, right? I mean, and that's most agents are not following up. Why do you think that is? Why do you
They
think
don't know where to start, I
they don't know where
think.
to start? Yeah, exactly. Like, what am I supposed to say? What am
But
I
those
supposed to send? We just went over like a
CRMs,
whole bunch of stuff. Like, it's not that hard.
these tools are easy, and like Chime, Boomtown, KV Core, the built-in training is really good.
Yeah.
I could not create and I haven't. I have like one video on training Chime, and I train people on it all the time. It's not worth my time to make a video because they can do it so much better.
Send them the link to what that's already been done.
I
Yep.
sent them a link to
100%.
the training library, and they're like, I don't know how to do this. Well, did you watch the video?
Yep.
No. Watch the
Yeah.
video. It's right
Yeah.
there. It says your name
Yeah.
on it. So, that's how you start, but a lot of people don't want to take the time to do it, not realizing it can save them. I mean, depends how big your business is, but 1,000 texts a month, or 1,000 emails, or 10,000 texts and 10,000 emails is a huge amount of time that if you front load the work like we started with, you can have that time back to where you have more time for showings. You can take off work at 5 o'clock. You can do whatever you need to do. Go skiing on Wednesdays. Whatever it is, you can buy that time back with a little bit of legwork. Versus, there's a lot of posts right now that I've seen since the new year. Who can I pay to do XYZ service or set this up? I am unwilling to learn it myself. Being very transparent, I'm unwilling to learn it. I do not want to spend the time on it. And I'm okay spending a fortune on it. Okay, well, here's the deal. You can spend a fortune to set it up, but there's still some management of it on everything, right? Things break, things have to be updated, market conditions change, your brokerage changes. There's not enough profit margin in real estate to pay someone to do everything. There's just not. I mean, like the biggest teams at EXP are pretty open. They have like a 10% net profit. That's horrible. That's not good at all.
Yeah.
Right? Where mine's like 45%. And that's because I keep paying for tools just to try them out and see if they work, knowing that they're not going to make me money. But it could be like 60%.
Yeah. It's a
And
do with
failure.
process. You can't just have somebody come in and do all that stuff. Like, you got to do it with them and you learn along the way. And whether or not you decide that you want to do it yourself or hire somebody to do it, like, you have to know what's up. The unwillingness to learn how to do something and simply think you can offload After you've spent all this time, effort, money, energy, whatever it is on the front end, generating leads, to then leave the most important piece, the follow-up, the fortunes in the follow-up, to somebody else and not be willing to learn it, that's definitely not smart. That is
Right.
not a great way of being able to build your business. So yeah, good job on getting different things and trying them out and seeing what works. Which, by the way, I did put in the chat. We talked about, not to get too far off subject, last week, Cody, on content creation. We had Austin Armstrong come on, shared. Oh, you were here with
Yeah.
for Austin. Yeah, of course. I put the link back in there. He has affiliate links now, so that is mine in there. If you guys want to try it out, it's 14 days free.
Cool.
Yeah, maybe we'll do a session too, because we're almost out of time here on building some affiliate businesses within. We're already in an industry that allows us for affiliate relationships all over the place. And there's ways to be able to build those in ways where, again, it goes back to the automation. And Cody, what you were
You
talking
have
about,
to
on
you
learning
have to
it.
understand it. Yeah. You have to
Yeah,
understand the automation for one before you can implement it to multiple. But once you take the time to learn it, you can implement it everywhere.
yeah, that's such a great point. That's probably a good end to our session today. I'm going to go ahead and stop the